Welcome back. Today we're talking about solar panels, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the good. In Florida, we also have what's called net metering. So if you create excess energy, you can sell it back to the grid at retail rates. So that is something that is very lucrative if you are not using all of your solar power. Also, there's something called a net investment tax credit. This may or may not be extended. However, this has been something that people have taken advantage of for many years. It's a 30% tax credit that you can get on your federal income tax. An obvious advantage is cost. So from the solar panels, it's about 5 cents per kilowatt, but from the grid, it's about 15 to 17% and increasing. So that's a significant savings. Over 25 years, you could save, $40,000, $50,000. So that's something that you might want to think about for the long term. So here in Florida, we all know that we have power outages from time to time and grid interruptions from time to time. So with solar and battery, you literally can have electricity during these times. So basically, you can be the only one on the street that has power when everyone else does not. So the last point of the good is increasing the value to your home. And the reason I say the last point of the good is it transitions into the bad as well, because solar can be good or bad for the value of your home. If you have a house that has really high quality, well-built solar panels, and you've held the house for a number of years, and so the loan is almost paid off, it could add value to your home. However, also, if you have corroded panels or you have an older roof or they're not functioning properly, actually it could devalue your house. So this is also the bad. So the bad factor is if you have bought solar panels, spent the money for them, and haven't really recouped your costs yet, or still have a balance on the loan. Generally, what I've seen from my experience is that you're not going to get the value back for those solar panels on resale. They don't get the same appraised value, and the buyers just don't value them as much as they should. So I have seen people really get hurt with that. So if you're not holding your home for a minimum of 10 years, or you're not sure, then don't do it, because it's very risky. You're probably not going to recoup those costs. It's estimated about 6 to 10 years for you to recoup the costs that you've spent. It's a big initial investment. Pretty much it's about $25,000 and up, depending on size of your house. So that's a really big upfront cost. So just know that you're not going to recoup that for 6 to 10 years. So you want to be mindful of that to see if it's a good investment for you. Florida's heat and humidity and salty air can cause the solar panels to corrode. So you really want to use high quality, corrosion resistant materials. Make sure you know what you're putting on the roof. Also, not every roof is ideal for solar panels. If you have a shady roof or an older roof or some north facing only roofs, that's not ideal. Also, certain roof types may not be ideal. So I definitely cannot stress enough that you want to make sure that you are putting it on a roof where it's going to work and you're also using quality materials. It's very, very, very important that you understand what you are installing. Something that often gets overlooked but is extremely important is that we have hurricanes in Florida. So hurricanes and very high wind storms can cause risks to your solar panels. So some of the newer solar panels can withstand about 140 mile per hour winds during a storm. Some of the older ones cannot, but that's something that you really want to find out, because there are storms, there are going to be hurricanes in Florida, and you want to make sure that the solar panels don't become a risk during a storm. So finally, we get to the ugly. We've all had those door-to-door knocks for solar panel sales. We've also had phone calls with solar panel sales. So you want to be really careful of what I call the solar panel bros, which they're basically selling you a pipe dream. There are good companies and there are bad companies, just like anything else. So you really, really have to vet the company, do your research, talk to professionals, talk to people who have done it before, figure out what they would have done differently, figure out what works, what doesn't work. This is very, very, very important. There's a lot of fraud, unfortunately, that we live in the country we live in today, and we can't be careful enough. So do your research, talk to the professionals, make sure you're getting quality product, quality installation, it's being installed in a place that'll work. I also want to mention that you don't have to install solar panels on your roof. We're seeing more and more, especially in Central Florida, people who are installing the solar panels on the land and putting the electric and the battery below. And that is something that is very common. Even Disney has their own solar farm, which is really cool. I drive by it every other day. So that is also something you might want to consider if you have enough land. You don't have to put the solar panels on the roof. So for a final thought, solar can create tremendous savings, reliability, and it can be something that's really useful to have. However, you just want to make sure you understand the upfront cost, recouping that cost, that you're using quality product, and you have a quality installer, and that you're installing it on a roof that it's going to last. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe below. I also have another video where we talk about the good and the bad, best and worst home improvements, where I also talk a little bit about solar panels. So feel free to tune into that one too.